When people hear the word manifestation, they often imagine something mystical, complicated, or hidden behind layers of secret knowledge. They think it requires hours of meditation, rituals, or years of practice before anything real happens. But the truth is, quantum manifestation is profoundly simple. It's not about complexity at all. It's about awareness, alignment, and energy. The reason it feels complicated to so many is because we have been conditioned to believe that change must come through struggle. We've been raised in a world that tells us nothing valuable comes easy, that everything worth having requires sacrifice and pain. So when someone hears that they can shift their reality by changing their thoughts, emotions, and state of being, it sounds almost too easy. The mind resists and says it can't be that simple, but simplicity is exactly the key. At the quantum level, your reality is a reflection of energy and frequency. Your thoughts are not just private conversations in your head. They are signals you constantly send into the field. Your emotions are not random chemical reactions. They are vibrations that either attract coherence or amplify chaos. When your thoughts and emotions are aligned, when they carry clarity and intention, the field around you responds. This isn't philosophy, it's physics. And yet, because the world has taught us that only what we see is real, most people dismiss the power of what they cannot measure immediately. They complicate what is inherently natural. Think of a child. Children manifest effortlessly because they have not yet been programmed with doubt. They imagine something, they believe in it, and they feel joy as though it already exists. That combination of belief, imagination, and elevated emotion is manifestation at its purest form. But as we grow older, society layers over that simplicity with rules, fears, and limitations. We start to think too much, question too much, and overcomplicate what is actually natural to us. Manifestation has always been simple. It is us who made it complex. Part of the reason nobody fully grasps this simplicity is because the nervous system is trained for survival. When you are in survival mode, constantly stressed, anxious, or afraid, your body doesn't care about creating your dream life, it only cares about keeping you alive. In that state, the mind overthinks, the heart closes, and your energy becomes inconsistent. That inconsistency is what blocks manifestation. Not because it's hard, but because you're too busy surviving to flow. This is why the practice of resetting the nervous system and cultivating calm is so essential. Once you step out of survival, manifestation stops being a mental effort and starts becoming your natural state of being. Simplicity also makes people uncomfortable. We live in a culture that worships hard work and complexity. If something is simple, people assume it lacks value. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if simplicity is power? What if the universe is designed in such a way that alignment, joy, and clarity bring more results than struggle ever could? The reason most people miss this is not because it's hidden, but because it's so obvious they overlook it. Just like the air you breathe or the gravity that holds you to the ground, the law of manifestation is always working, quietly and simply, whether you notice it or not. So the real challenge is not learning how to manifest. It is unlearning the belief that manifestation must be hard. It is releasing the conditioning that tells you life only changes through struggle. Once you realize that quantum manifestation is nothing more than aligning your thoughts and emotions with the outcome you desire, it becomes almost laughable how simple it really is. It's like remembering something you always knew deep down, but forgot under the weight of fear and doubt. In the moment you embrace that simplicity, you unlock the door to creating a reality that feels natural, flowing, and abundant. That is why quantum manifestation is so simple, yet so often misunderstood. When we talk about quantum manifestation, we cannot ignore the role of thought and emotion, because they are the very language through which we communicate with the universe. Most people believe their thoughts are private, locked away in the mind, producing no effect beyond their own head. But that is far from the truth. Thoughts are energy, and every thought you repeat carries a frequency, just like a radio signal. Emotions, on the other hand, are the fuel that gives those thoughts power. Together, they create a vibration that the quantum field responds to. When your thoughts and emotions are aligned, manifestation feels effortless. When they are conflicted, life feels like a constant struggle. Think about it like this. Your brain is an antenna, constantly sending out signals into the field. When you think a thought, especially one that carries strong emotional weight, you are broadcasting that frequency outward. If the thought is filled with doubt, fear, or lack, you are broadcasting uncertainty and resistance. The universe doesn't translate words, it reads vibration. So if you think, "I want abundance," but feel unworthy or anxious, your vibration does not match your words. This misalignment is why many people believe manifestation doesn't work. They focus on the thought alone but forget the emotion, and without emotion, the thought is just static in the field. Emotion is what magnetizes. Science has shown that the heart produces an electromagnetic field that is far more powerful than the brain. When your heart and mind are in coherence, when what you think matches what you feel, you become a clear signal. That clarity is what creates synchronicities, opportunities, and outcomes that appear almost magical. This is why gratitude, joy, and love are so often emphasized in manifestation teachings. These emotions aren't just positive feelings, they are high-frequency states that tune you into the quantum field in a way that amplifies your intentions. But most people live with a mismatch between thought and emotion. They think about success while feeling stressed. They imagine love while carrying old pain. They picture abundance while worrying about bills. This inner conflict sends out mixed signals, like trying to tune a radio station but switching frequencies every few seconds. The result is static, not music. That static is what life feels like when we don't understand the science of thought and emotion. The truth is, it isn't about forcing yourself to think positively all the time. It's about aligning your inner state so that your thoughts naturally match your feelings. This is where the nervous system plays a crucial role. If you live in a state of constant stress, your body is programmed to think survival thoughts, fear, worry, and self-protection. These thoughts create emotions of anxiety and doubt, and together they reinforce a cycle of misalignment. But when you calm the nervous system through practices like breathwork, meditation, or mindfulness, you interrupt that cycle. Suddenly, your body feels safe, your mind softens, and your emotions begin to rise into states like peace, gratitude, and openness. In that state, your thoughts no longer compete with your feelings, they work together. The simplicity lies in understanding that manifestation is not about adding more effort, it's about creating coherence. It is about noticing the relationship between what you think and what you feel and making the conscious choice to align them. When you think abundance and also feel abundant, you broadcast abundance. When you think of love and also feel worthy of love, you attract love. This is not magic, it is resonance. So the key is not to force thoughts or suppress emotions, but to integrate them. Train your mind to think with clarity, and train your heart to feel with openness. And you will find that the universe doesn't resist you, it reflects you. And when that reflection matches the life you desire, you realize manifestation was never complicated at all, only misunderstood. One of the biggest reasons manifestation feels impossible for so many people is because they are unknowingly living in survival mode. The nervous system, when trapped in stress, cannot focus on creation, expansion, or possibility. It can only focus on survival. Think about it. When your body believes you are in danger, even if the danger is only an unpaid bill or a stressful conversation, your entire physiology shifts into fight, flight, or freeze. Your heart races, your breath shortens, your mind scans for problems. In that moment, the last thing your body cares about is manifesting abundance or attracting love. It only wants to survive the perceived threat. And this is where so many people get stuck. They try to manifest from a place of fear, stress, and lack, not realizing that their biology is working against them. When you are in survival mode, your thoughts are wired to be repetitive, protective, and limited. The brain doesn't imagine new possibilities, it replays old patterns because they feel safe. You begin to think the same thoughts you did yesterday, feel the same emotions, and act in the same ways. This cycle creates a reality that looks just like your past, which is why nothing seems to change. Survival mode keeps you trapped in a loop, blocking the very expansion manifestation requires. You cannot create a new reality with the same fear-based thoughts that built the old one. Stress also fragments your energy. Instead of being fully present, your attention is scattered. You worry about the future, regret the past, and rarely settle into the now. But manifestation only happens in the present moment. The quantum field responds not to what you wish for someday, but to the vibration you carry now. If your now is filled with stress hormones, worry, and fear, that is the frequency you are broadcasting, and the field simply mirrors it back with more situations that match that vibration. That is why people who live in survival often feel like life keeps throwing them the same problems. They are unintentionally reinforcing them through their state of being. The good news is that survival mode is not permanent. The nervous system can be reset. Just by taking conscious breaths, slowing your body down, and choosing to create space between stimulus and response, you begin to shift. The moment your body feels safe, your mind begins to open, creativity flows, your heart becomes coherent, and your thoughts expand beyond fear. This is when manifestation becomes possible again. Instead of forcing change through stress, you begin to allow change through alignment. Another important truth is that survival mode tricks you into believing more effort will solve everything. You think you have to do more, work harder, or push further to create change. But manifestation does not respond to effort. It responds to energy. The more you struggle, the more resistance you add. It is only when you calm the nervous system, release the fight, and settle into presence that you unlock the flow of the quantum field. This is why practices like meditation, grounding, or even simple silence are so powerful. They teach your body safety and remind your nervous system that it no longer has to fight. It may sound paradoxical, but the less you operate from survival, the more life begins to flow. You don't manifest by outrunning fear, you manifest by stepping out of it. You don't create by controlling everything, you create by aligning with the energy of safety, trust, and openness. Once you understand this, you see why manifestation is so simple yet so misunderstood. Most people are trying to create from the wrong state of being. The moment you free yourself from survival mode, you remember that the universe was never withholding from you. It was only waiting for you to align with the vibration of safety and trust so it could deliver what was always possible. What most people overlook when they talk about manifestation is the simple yet profound truth that it is not about doing more, but about being aligned. We live in a culture that glorifies effort, hustle, and constant striving, so naturally people apply the same logic to manifestation. They think that if they visualize harder, repeat affirmations longer, or force themselves into endless routines, they will finally attract what they want. But manifestation does not bend to pressure. The quantum field does not respond to how many hours you spend trying. It responds to the frequency you are holding. And that frequency is not created through exhaustion. It is created through alignment. Alignment means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony with the outcome you desire. If you say you want peace but constantly fill your days with chaos, you are not aligned. If you affirm love while holding resentment in your heart, you are not aligned. If you think about abundance but act from fear of lack, you are not aligned. The universe doesn't listen to your words, it listens to your state of being. That state is the signal you send out, and the signal must match the experience you want to receive. When your inner state is out of harmony, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in, the results will always fall short. The reason alignment is so powerful is that it opens you up to receptivity. Manifestation is not about control, it's about allowing. When you are aligned, you are like a tuned instrument, resonating clearly with the field. Opportunities, people, and synchronicities come not because you forced them into existence, but because you became a match for them. Think of it like tuning a radio. When you're off frequency, all you hear is static. But the moment you tune in, the music that was always there becomes clear. The song didn't suddenly appear. You simply matched the frequency. Manifestation works exactly the same way. The overlooked secret, then, is learning how to be receptive. This doesn't mean doing nothing or waiting passively. It means acting from inspiration rather than desperation. It means trusting that the field is already arranging circumstances for you, and that your role is to hold the vibration of what you want long enough for it to materialize. The energy of desperation pushes things away because it communicates lack. The energy of alignment draws things closer because it communicates wholeness. When you are aligned, life begins to feel lighter. You stop asking, "How can I make this happen?" and start asking, "How can I allow this to unfold?" This shift may feel subtle, but it changes everything. The need to control every detail dissolves, and in its place grows a sense of trust. This trust is not blind faith. It is the recognition that the same intelligence that organizes galaxies, seasons, and the beating of your heart is also guiding your path. If you can trust it with the stars, surely you can trust it with your dreams. So the real work is not piling on more techniques, but creating the space to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you want. Sometimes that means slowing down, breathing deeper, or letting go of what doesn't resonate. Other times it means cultivating joy, gratitude, or love simply because those states make you magnetic. And once you experience alignment, you understand that manifestation is not about effort at all. It is about coherence. When you stop chasing, pushing, and forcing, and instead choose to align and allow, you finally discover why manifestation is so simple, yet so rarely understood. One of the most liberating truths about manifestation is that it doesn't require complex rituals or endless techniques. What actually creates change is the simple daily reset that brings your nervous system, your mind, and your energy back into alignment. The reason this is so powerful is because manifestation isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about who you are consistently every day. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, and the way you carry yourself send signals into the quantum field. Those signals accumulate and shape your reality, so if your daily state is dominated by stress, fear, or lack, you will keep attracting more of the same. But if you learn to reset yourself each day, even for a few minutes, you open the door to completely different outcomes. The beauty is that these resets can be incredibly simple. Take breath break, for example. When you consciously slow your breathing, you send a signal to your nervous system that it is safe. Your body relaxes, your heart rate balances, and your mind begins to clear. In that state of calm, you naturally become more receptive to new ideas and new energy. That moment of presence, created by something as simple as breathing, pulls you out of survival mode and places you back into creation mode. Suddenly, you are no longer recycling the same thoughts of yesterday. You are open to something new. Visualization is another reset that works on a profound level. The brain does not know the difference between something vividly imagined and something physically experienced. When you take a few minutes to truly see yourself living your desired reality, feeling the emotions, embodying the version of yourself who already has it, you are literally teaching your brain and body a new pattern. Over time, the nervous system begins to accept this vision as familiar, and once it feels familiar, it feels safe. And once it feels safe, your body stops resisting it and begins to attract it. That's the true magic of visualization. Not that it forces the universe to deliver something, but that it reprograms you into alignment with what you desire. Mindfulness is another daily practice that resets you in subtle but transformative ways. Simply noticing your thoughts and observing them without judgment breaks the cycle of unconscious repetition. Instead of being carried away by fear, doubt, or stress, you become aware. That awareness alone gives you power. It allows you to choose a new thought, a new emotion, a new action in that moment. Over time, those tiny daily choices compound into a completely different reality. Manifestation stops being about massive leaps and becomes about consistent micro shifts that keep you aligned. The reason people underestimate these practices is because they are so simple. We are conditioned to believe transformation must be complicated, that change requires struggle. But the nervous system does not need struggle. It needs safety. The mind does not need force. It needs focus. And energy does not need exhaustion. It needs alignment. Daily resets provide all of these in the most accessible way possible. They remind you that you are not a prisoner of your past thoughts, emotions, or states. You can choose again, and in choosing again, you begin to attract again. What makes these daily resets so profound is their cumulative effect. One moment of breathwork might calm you, but a habit of breathwork rewires you. One visualization might inspire you, but consistent visualization reshapes your identity. One moment of mindfulness might bring clarity, but a practice of mindfulness transforms how you respond to life. And when your nervous system, your mind, and your energy are consistently aligned, manifestation becomes less about getting and more about becoming. This is the truth so many people miss. It is not the complexity of the practice that creates the result, but the consistency of returning to alignment every single day. When we talk about manifestation, many people doubt its simplicity because they feel they've tried everything and nothing has worked. But the real evidence of how simple it is comes from those who live it. Those who are the living proof that alignment and resetting your energy actually change reality. Once you experience it firsthand, you realize that manifestation is not about hard effort. It is about allowing life to flow through you with ease. The moment your nervous system is calm, your thoughts are clear, and your energy is steady, you stop forcing outcomes and start witnessing synchronicities that seem almost magical. Yet there is nothing magical about them. It is simply the natural reflection of your internal state. Think about how often life feels like a struggle when you are stressed, anxious, or caught in constant overthinking. Everything feels heavier, opportunities seem scarce, solutions are hard to find, and people around you mirror back the tension you carry. That is not because life is inherently against you, but because your frequency is broadcasting resistance. But the very moment you reset yourself, even in the smallest way, the entire texture of your experience changes. Suddenly, conversations flow with ease, you notice opportunities you missed before, and you meet people who seem to appear at the perfect time. This isn't coincidence, it's coherence. Living proof of this can be seen in countless stories of people who shifted their inner state and watched their outer world transform. Someone who spent years chasing success finally stopped, breathed, and aligned with gratitude, only to have the right business partner appear seemingly out of nowhere. Someone who longed for love but carried self-doubt, chose to practice self-acceptance, and suddenly found themselves attracting genuine connection. Someone trapped in lack mentality began practicing daily visualization of abundance, and soon opportunities began to flow effortlessly. These aren't miracles reserved for a chosen few. They are natural responses of the quantum field to the signals we consistently send out. The reason it feels so effortless, once you experience alignment, is because your nervous system is no longer fighting against your desires. When your body feels unsafe, it resists change. It clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. That's why so many people sabotage their own goals. They are not broken, they are simply misaligned. But once the nervous system feels safe, once the mind and body believe the new vision is possible and familiar, resistance dissolves. What once felt like an uphill battle suddenly feels like walking downstream with the current supporting you. This is why manifestation feels so simple once you embody it. You stop waiting for something outside of you to prove it's possible, because your very state of being becomes the evidence. You walk through life lighter, more present, more open to possibility. You no longer ask, will it happen? Because you know you are already aligned with it. And from that knowing, life responds in kind. This is not philosophy, it is lived reality for anyone who dares to shift inward first. The overlooked truth is that the universe is not hiding anything from you. The field is always ready to respond, but it requires your coherence, not your chaos. It requires your alignment, not your anxiety. And once you step into that alignment, the simplicity of manifestation no longer feels like a theory. It becomes your lived experience. That is why those who live in this state stop questioning if manifestation works, because they embody the undeniable truth that once you reset your nervous system and energy, life no longer requires force. It simply flows.